All right, let's get started. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Today is Sunday, January 11th, 2015. This is the first monthly motivation chat of 2015. And I want to thank you all for being here. Before we get into today's topic, which is about learning to love and accept yourself, I want to just take a moment to express my thanks to you all. Our community is continuing to grow, and a lot of you who have been there from the beginning and have been there for a long period of time, I really appreciate your ongoing support and commitment to spreading the word about myself, the 1,000 Challenge page. And for those of you who are new, welcome. And I'm really excited for you all to be a part of the journey. We have an awesome community. It's really, really inspiring, motivating. I think so. I think it's definitely one of the better pages on Facebook, not that I'm biased or anything. And I hope that you all get a tremendous amount of value out of it. And if I can help in any way, please do not hesitate to ask. Okay? So on with today's topic, learning to love and accept yourself. So to learn and love and accept ourselves, it's the challenge with most people is it's so ambiguous. There's a lot of things. What is accepting ourselves? What does loving ourselves look like? What does even learning to love and accept ourselves look like? Does anybody know how to really learn how to do something? And how do we learn how to do something we don't know how to do, right? There's a lot of complexity to it, and that's where so many of us get stuck in trying to decide how we're going to love ourselves, and then even how to learn to love ourselves. So the first thing you have to do is you have to decide who you are and not who others say you are. So let me say that again, because this is a very important distinction. How are we to love ourselves if we don't know who we are? Now, what's a tragedy is most of us base whom we are off of what other people say. We are what other people say. We are this, we are that, or not even necessarily what other people say, but what we assume they think about us, right? That's usually a much more powerful one than what they actually say. Most people do not have the audacity or the gall to say the really mean, nasty things to our face that we think that they're thinking about us. Yet we'll form so much of whom we believe we are based off of the assumption we make about somebody else. Does that really make a whole hell of a lot of sense? No, not at all. It's borderline ludicrous, right? But yet we do it over and over and over again and we choose to form our impression of ourselves based off of what we think others are thinking about us. Isn't that a silly way to live life? I think it is, and I also can relate to it because I've lived a tremendous part of my early life like that. Going around, hanging my head down, feeling like hell, hating myself because that's what I thought other people would think of me. I used to literally every morning wake up and tell myself in the mirror, you're worthless, you're a piece of garbage, nobody likes you, you're never gonna be a girlfriend, you're never gonna be loved, and everybody just thinks you're a loser. And that's what I tell myself. That was my pep talk I would give myself every morning. And I really believed it. At least a part of me did. And so much of my identity in my younger life was formed based off of what I thought other people were thinking. So you have to decide who you are. You have to really get clear with whom you are, not who anybody else thinks or not what you think other people think you are. Just who you are. Who do you see in the mirror? Who do you want to see in the mirror? Who's that person looking back at you? What are they made of? What makes them tick? What inspires them? What motivates them? What makes them happy? What makes them sad? What's their favorite movie? What's their favorite book? What's their favorite food? What's their favorite pastime? Do they have hopes, dreams, fears, aspirations? Do they like to go for long walks in the field? Do they love to run? Do they love to hike? What does that person in the mirror think about when they wake up in the morning? What do they dream about when they go to sleep at night? What are their hopes for the future? Do they have any weird mannerisms or rituals or obsessive compulsiveness that they go through? Like, do they have to brush their teeth for 38 seconds on each row of teeth, right? Who is that person? What are their quirks? What's their sense of humor like? Do they like one comedian more than another comedian? Do they have a favorite flower? If so, when does that flower bloom? What is their favorite season? If they could go on a dream vacation anywhere, where would they like to go? Not to where does someone think they should go, but where would they like to go? A lot of people will tell me that they think that they'll tell me, blah, 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 blah. Let me try that again. A lot of people will often tell me where I should go on vacation. Oh, Jesse, you need to go see this. Oh, Jesse, you need to go see that. And they will also say, why do you spend so much time going to national parks? Why do you go? Haven't you seen enough nature? Oh, no, never. I never will. And if I were to plan my travel around what other people told me I should see, my travel would not be as fulfilling as it is to me. See, I'm not such a huge, I can go and appreciate the cool buildings and stuff, but the man-made stuff, it does not dazzle me anywhere near to the level that the natural stuff does. Yet so many people will flock to the Eiffel Tower before they will flock to Yellowstone National Park. If I listened to everybody who told me I need to go to Yellowstone or need to go to the Eiffel Tower, I probably wouldn't get to see Yellowstone. So it's really important, again, to identify who you are and not who other people think you are or what they say they are or who you think they think you are. Okay? Does that make sense? After you do that, after you figure out and decide who you are, you got to decide what love looks like for you and, big surprise, not what others say it looks like. So what does love look like for you? This is extremely important because love is one of those terms, is one of those words that gets thrown out all in sorts of ways, in all different shapes and sizes. It is the thing that everybody wants, that we all need, yet so many of us struggle to get it because we don't necessarily understand how to recognize it, nor can we identify it when we have it. Love is commercialized, right? How many people have watched a romantic comedy, a rom-com, or a chick flick? I definitely watched my fair share of them. How many people participate in Valentine's Day? How many guys out there, when Valentine's Day rolls around, get that stress response like, oh my God, I have to go and get the perfect gift. And then when they start to hear somebody else, the gift that they're getting for their sweetie, think, oh man, my gift is inadequate, and I am going to be now a failure as a significant other because I'm not doing so much for my significant other. Right? So love is one of those things that it's thrown around and it's blown into so many different proportions, shapes, sizes that who really knows what it is. And so we go and we look to other people, we read books, we watch movies, we try to figure out what love is. We a lot of times get wrapped up into our first exposure for many of us. I think for me it was of what love is watching Disney. Love is the damsel in distress. She's captured by the evil queen or the witch or the dragon or whatever. And then the prince valiantly races to her aid and fights off the dragon, defeats the witch, whatever it is. And then the story fades out and they're kissing and they live, and what does it end? They live happily ever after. And I go, oh, wow, that's what love is. So all I need to do is find some damsel to rescue that's in distress and save her, and then it'll be happily ever after. Which, if it really explains how some of my early relationships went. I would try to date girls who had some challenges, and it made me feel significant that I could help them with them, and then it never ended up happily ever after. And that's not just because of them. I contribute to that too, right? But that's what we're taught what love is. And so often we go through life and we never stop to question what we really think love is. We never stop to identify what our own version of love is. And you guys, what love is for you, what love is for me, what love is for him, what love is for her, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. And so it's important for us to identify what those differences are for us. If we live our life based off of what this person says love is, we're going to always find it to be elusive, right? We're always going to find it to be elusive because we're chasing after somebody else's vision. We're chasing after somebody else's dream, somebody else's ideal, somebody else's interpretation of Disney. That is not going to bring us the love that we want because it's not a love that resonates with us. Okay, does that make sense? I really want you to pay attention to this. The Disney version of love is not necessarily the love that you're going to look for in life. Yeah, sure. Is it nice to have the idea that you give sweep off in the sunset, you have one kiss and you live happily ever after? There's a reason Disney movie's in there, right? Do we ever see what happens after Snow White and Cinderella have been with the prince for a long time, or they've had to go through life's challenges and tribulations? Anybody can fall in love when they're rescued from some horrible fate, right? Anybody can. I remember a long time ago when I first started getting into studying psychology and stuff, and I wanted to get into dating psychology. I was reading books, and one of the books was talking about the best first date you could take somebody on would be to go somewhere where, like, a roller coaster or do some sort of extreme adventure, because what would happen is it elicits such a different emotional response that it causes certain chemical reactions in our body which make us implicitly feel like we like the other person more, right? Anybody can come together during a challenging time. Anybody can. There's even things you've heard of. What is it called? Is it called Helsinki syndrome, where somebody who's in a really traumatic situation might actually start to form an attachment with the person holding them hostage because of that, right? Because there's something psychologically that changes in that person during that time. So my point is that when we go through challenging times in a Disney scenario, it's easy to fall in love because we're getting put with the worst case scenario, and then it turns out the best way. Life is not going to necessarily be Disney. So you need to get it crystal clear on what love looks like for you. Does love mean it's long walks on the beach? Does it mean it's talks? Does it mean it's travel? Does it mean it's high-fiving, hand-holding, tongue-kissing, dancing, strolling, twisting, turning, skipping, frolicking, whatever it is, and more importantly, self-love. Does that look like giving yourself a hug, giving yourself a compliment, patting yourself on the back, giving yourself a high five? Does it mean exercise? Is it eating healthy? Is it dating? Is it not dating? Is it reading books? Is it not reading books? Is it watching movies? Is it not watching movies? If so, what kinds of movies? What kinds of books? Okay, all those types of things have to be factored into what your version of love is. You guys, love is not just what Hallmark says, what Disney says, or what a movie says. Okay, it's what you decide it is for you. Okay, so after you figure out who you are, and after you decide what love is for you, the next and final step you have to do with this is you have to decide, what does loving yourself look like, and then take action to support that. So what does loving yourself look like, and then take action to support that? So is loving yourself exercising for 30 minutes a day? If it is, guess what you need to start doing? Exercising for 30 minutes a day. Is loving yourself eating healthy? If it is, guess what? You got to start eating healthy. Is loving yourself reading a new book every month? Guess what you need to start doing? Is loving yourself treating yourself to a spa day or a massage once a month? Guess what you need to start doing? Is loving yourself taking time to tell your friends how much you appreciate them? Guess what you need to start doing? Is loving yourself doing something kind for somebody else? Guess what you need to start doing? Is loving yourself spending more time doing your hobbies like photography or painting or crocheting or stamping? Is it called stamping? I don't think so. Stamp collecting or scrapbooking or railroad train building or model airplane constructing, or I'm running out of hobbies. Bowling! Any case, whatever that is, guess what you need to start doing? You got to start doing more of those things. If you identify who you are, what love is for you, and then what loving yourself looks like, that's great and all, but until you start taking the action and doing those things that demonstrate an act of love to yourself, it's not going to change. Actions are always going to speak louder than words. And here's the real caveat to this. For those of you who are here because you want to try to find a romantic relationship, I firmly believe, now this is just my belief, that the quality of relationship you are going to get is always going to reflect the quality of love you have for yourself, right? If you want an everlasting, loving, romantic love, whatever that looks like for you, relationship, it's got to start with this person. It's got to start with you. It has to. It is not fair to expect somebody else to come in and fill the hole inside of you. You have to do that yourself. You have to do it yourself. You made the hole, you got to fill it up. And I mean that when I say it, you made the hole, you got to fill it up. I understand things happen in life that contribute to the holes that we feel, But we're ultimately the ones that cultivate it and nurture it. And to rely on somebody else to come in and fill it up, that's giving them a job that is virtually impossible to succeed at. It is virtually impossible to succeed at, and at some point, it will cause rift and problems and challenges in the relationship. And when the relationship ends, if it does, you're going to still be left with that hole that you didn't realize was there because that other person was covering up. And now you're going to have the pain of losing that other relationship to add to it. So you guys, do yourself a favor, whether you're in a relationship or you're not, whether you want to be in one or whether you don't, you got to start doing the things that you identify that are an act of love for you, and you got to start loving yourself. And as you do that, you're going to find that you're going to be able to have more loving relationship with yourself, more loving relationship with your friends, more loving relationship with your family, more loving relationship with coworkers, with strangers, and more loving relationship with your lovers. Okay? That's what I got for you guys. Just to recap really quick. 3 steps to learning to love and accept yourself. Step number 1 is you have to decide who you are, not who other people say you are or what you think other people think of you. Number 2, you have to decide Number 2, you have to decide what love looks like for you and not what other people say love is or Disney or anything else. You got to decide for you. What is your version of love? And lastly, number 3 is you have to identify what does loving yourself look like. And then once you identify what that looks like, you have to start taking actions to support it. If loving yourself means going bowling once a week, guess what you need to start doing once a week? Go bowling. Okay? That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Any questions at all? I know there's a little bit of delay, so I'll give you guys a second to catch up, and I will take a sip of agua because this is an act of me loving myself, that is keeping well hydrated, and then I'll answer your questions. All right, I think the delay just ended, so I will start answering your questions now as soon as I see them popping up. Oh, here we go. There you go. Do you think learning to loving yourself is also the key to trusting another person, whether in love, relationship, or friendship? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a fantastic question. So let me just read it one more time. Do you think learning to love yourself is also the key to trusting another person, whether in love, relationship, or friendship? And my answer is yeah. The more you love yourself, the more you're going to trust yourself. The more you trust yourself, the more you're going to follow your instincts, your gut instincts. Our instincts will usually tell us when we should and should not trust someone. The problem is most of us do not love ourselves enough. We do not love ourselves enough to trust our instincts to decide whether we should trust someone or not. And that usually gets us into trouble. Oftentimes when we get hurt or we've gotten burned, there is usually an indicator, if we think back to when we first had that indicator, that says, we should proceed with caution. But we dismiss it because we don't love ourselves enough to trust ourselves enough. So I absolutely do. I think the more you love yourself, the more you're going to be able to trust others. Great question. What is a good smoothie to make in a personal blender? Any suggestions? Yes, if you go to my YouTube page, which I think we're all on right now, right? And you go through my videos, I actually have a video in there, step-by-step video on how to make the smoothie that I make. And it's quite delicious, if I do say so myself. And I believe we call it the Zero Limit Smoothie. And those of you who have tried it before, I've yet to hear anybody say that they did not like it. I think I make a pretty damn good smoothie. So yeah, if you go through my YouTube channel, look in my videos, you will see how to make a smoothie. How am I? I am doing quite well. I got a great night's sleep. I got a pretty productive day ahead, and then I'm gonna make some delicious dinner and maybe watch a little South Park, because when I like to zone out, I've been finding I really love zoning out to South Park. It is some of the shows are so funny. Some of the shows are borderline uncomfortable funny. Some of them I'm literally sitting there and it's so uncomfortable. I can't decide if I should laugh or cringe. And I think that they do such a great job writing, keeping it fresh. And they're really, I feel like the South Park guys are really equal opportunists in that they equally rip on everybody. Everybody gets made fun of in there, so it's not like they're playing favorites and making fun of somebody more than the others. Good questions. What else you guys got? Any other questions? Were you guys a little shy in 2015? The biggest thing I got from this is to take action to support who we are. I am making a list and will start feeding into what I love even more. Thank you. That's awesome. Perfect. And I recommend you all do that, is to make lists and put them into action. How is the weather there? What are you doing for your birthday? The weather is a little rainy, and it's much needed. It's actually been raining pretty consistently for the last, probably 15 hours or so. And what am I doing for my birthday? I have zero plans. I'll probably work out, probably work for a little while, and maybe I'll go somewhere and go take some pictures, because I really enjoy going and taking pictures. I have no questions. You made it clear that we must love ourselves first if we want to be loved. I know this was your birthday, so I just want to wish you all the best. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I love hugs, and hugs from Romania are especially good. I really want to go to Romania because, yes, I'm that guy. I want to go to Transylvania. I want to go take a picture in front of the Dracula castle. And I was actually watching this little mini documentary on it the other day about it, and about how much the town that they have, the alleged Dracula, and you verify this a lot more than I can, that the alleged Dracula castle, and how much it's grown in tourism now, because vampire stories have gotten to be so big over the last few years with Twilight and Buffy, and you have Blade, and you have, well, I think there's just a new Dracula movie came out last year. There's other stories too. I think there's one called Vampire Diaries. I've heard that. I haven't seen that one. And I think everybody knows that I'm a pretty loyal Buffy fan. So that was that. But I do want to go. I do want to go and see that. Plus, I've seen other pictures of it. Not just, I don't want to go there, but I've seen other pictures of countryside, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And so I'm hoping that maybe I might make it over to Eastern Europe sometime in the fall this year. I'm going to be in London in September for sure, and I have to see how my schedule plays out. But if it works out, take a couple weeks and make it over to Eastern Europe and check out some spots there. And I saw somebody on here was from Czech Republic. I would love to go to Czech Republic. There's other spots I'd want to go to. I'd love to go to Czech Republic. I'd love to go to Croatia. I'd love to go to, oh God, there's a couple other places too that I've seen pictures of that just looked absolutely amazing. So I definitely am going to try to do that. Any other questions, you guys? Any other questions? If not, that's no big deal. It means I did such a good job on presenting the material, and you guys all got it all. Oh, and while you guys are typing up questions, I will just give you a couple little updates. One, I think some of you on here are participating in the current round of the Flat Belly Challenge, and I've seen some of you posting some success stories thus far. So just so you guys know, those of you who are supporting Flat Belly participants, they are doing awesome. We have a great group going so far. The next one will probably be sometime in March-ish, so put that on your calendar. I've gotten some questions about the 6 weeks to Greatest You program. When is the next round going to be? Sign-ups for that will be at the end of this month, and it'll begin in February. The 6 weeks to Your Greatest You program is my 6-week course I do where we basically cover all the big aspects of life, and you're going to be able to walk away with it with some really strong tools to go and make your life your greatest life. The name, the intention of the program is in the name, which is in 6 weeks, I want to be able to really help you awaken your greatest you. And lastly, I've gotten a couple questions about Zero Limits Mastermind. Can you still join? Yeah, absolutely. And there are, I think I've seen a few names on here that are in the Zero Limits Mastermind right now. We have a really awesome group doing some really extraordinary things in there. I love going in there. I love the vibe in there. When we have our weekly strategy sessions and we meet over a webinar like this, the questions and the dialogue we have and the conversations we're having are absolutely amazing. And there have been some tremendous aha moments that have been coming from. I've gotten some cool aha moments because of the group. So I encourage you that if you are looking to make this year an epic year, or even a great year, or an awesome year, or you just want to hold yourself to a higher level of accountability, and you want some really cool tools and strategy to do that, I encourage you to check out Zero Limits Mastermind, because the group is just, it's such a great group in there. It looks like we have some other questions pop up. When you transferred over from not loving yourself when you were younger to loving yourself now, what do you think made it happen for you? So when you made the change, let me just paraphrase it. When you made the change from not loving yourself when I was younger to loving myself now, what made it happen? It was a decision I made. It was a decision I made, and I can distinctly remember the moment I made the decision. I've shared this story with some of you before, so I'll keep it kind of brief. And I think I have a blog actually where I tell the whole story in detail. And I may even have a video. And if I don't have a video, if somebody could check and see if I do have a video on it, and if I don't, will you email me and let me know, and I will tell the whole story and put it as a video, because I think it's a good video. It's definitely worth sharing. When I was my freshman year in college, I was having a really hard time. So I was seriously the most shy, most insecure person you'd ever met. I didn't used to always have muscles or anything like that. When I got into college, I weighed about 165 pounds. To give you an idea, I usually weigh right around 217, 220 right now. And that's a little lighter for me. I've actually lost probably about 10 pounds of muscle or so over the last couple of years, just because I haven't been able to work out at the way I used to because of back problems and other medical problems, which I've shared with you all. So when I moved down for school, I was that shy, insecure guy. I mean, if anybody looked at me, if anybody talked to me, I'd turn bright red, break out in a sweat. If a girl talked to me, oh my God, it's like the end of the world. And my freshman quarter, my first quarter at UCSB, so UCSB would do a quarter system, which means you'd have a 10-week term, you get a break, 10-week term, get a break, 10-week term, get a break, like that. And so my first quarter, my GPA was a 113, which was an F and 2 C minuses. When you get that at a university, they send you a letter saying that if you don't get it together, you're basically lowering the standard of our school. And if you don't get it together, we are going to kick you out. I responded to that by my first week of my winter quarter getting so drunk in the dorms that I ended up face first over the toilet like this for a couple hours. I don't remember any of this. Throwing up. I threw up in my room. I threw up all over myself. I woke up in the morning. I had the worst hangover feeling I've ever felt in my life. And I looked on the floor. There was this vomit dust that sprinkled a kind of odoritis. I had no bedding on my bed anymore. I was in different clothes. I don't remember any of it. So because I was only 18, 19, I was only 18. I hadn't turned 19. And I got put on probation from the dorms because, obviously in the States, you have to be 21 to drink. So I was a minor. And they basically said, if you don't get together with alcohol, we're going to kick you out of the dorms. And I've always been a really good kid, never got in trouble or anything like that. I was shy, and that shyness kept me out of a lot of trouble. So I was put on disqualification, put on probation, And about 3 or 4 weeks into the winter quarter, I had gone to brush my teeth. And in the boys' bathroom, there was, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 sinks, but on the far right sink, I went over there, I'm standing there, I had my shirt off because I was skinny, so you used to be able to see my abs. And what I would do is I'd do a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups before I'd go down to the bathroom, and I'd take my shirt off because I thought if the girls saw my abs, maybe they'd think I was cute or something. Not that it would matter, because if they start talking to me, I would have lost my mind. And I'm sitting there brushing my teeth, and I remember looking at myself and seeing this person I didn't recognize. And I had these big dark circles under my eyes, and I was starting to get a beer belly. And I remember telling myself, I was like, what are you doing? You know, you work so hard to give yourself a shot at life, to get away from where I grew up. And I'm about ready to throw it all away because why? Because I'm too scared, I'm too shy. I knew I was smarter than my grades were reflecting. I knew I had more in me than I was putting out there. And so what I told myself is I had to change. And I knew for me, a huge thing was my physical body. I hated myself, and I felt so unattractive, so self-conscious. I needed change. I had been fascinated with bodybuilding since I was 8 years old, the first time I saw Conan the Destroyer, but I really never did anything about it. In high school, I'd work out for a few weeks and I'd stop. I'd work out for a few weeks and I'd stop. I never really understood it. And so I made a promise to myself that I would spend the rest of my quarter getting my grades up. And then once I got my grades up, starting spring quarter, I would start working out. And I made all these rules for working out. And that was my way of getting myself, turning the corner from hating myself, disliking myself, to loving myself and liking myself. And here I am, 10 plus years later, I'm still working on it. It's still a work in progress. And I still have my moments because I'm human. But I think you all know me well enough to see that I seem like I'm a pretty happy guy, right? I'm not putting on an act. I'm not up here getting in the character and being this. This is just how I am. This is just who I am. And there's not a difference between the person you're seeing right now and then the person you see in real life. That's just who I am as a person. I make the same jokes. I have the same sense of humor. I really do enjoy watching South Park because of the jokes and the sense of humor on there. That's kind of my sense of humor. It's a little out there. It might be a little uncomfortable sometimes. And it's an ongoing process, you guys, but it's a daily process. And I do things daily. I do the same things daily that I encourage you all to do, to make sure, because it's important enough to me and I'm important enough to myself to make the effort to love myself. Okay, so explaining your question, great question. If you are having trouble with loving yourself consistently and continuously, there are setbacks. Are there any techniques you may use to make these less frequent, easier to overcome? Great question. So if you're trying to love yourself, you experience a setback, is there something you can do to increase the recovery so it's not as frequent? Yes. You got to go back to doing right what you were doing before. If you know that exercising is, and I use exercise as an example because I know how powerful exercise is, not just for me, but for hundreds of people I've worked with all over the world. If you are exercising as an act of self-love, exercising makes you feel better, you have a setback, the first thing you need to do is go and exercise again. Whether it's going to the gym or if it's just stopping what you're doing and starting doing some jumping jacks. I could easily do jumping jacks here. I could run in place. I could do jumping. I could do push-ups. I could do sit-ups. I could do planks. I can do all sorts of things right here that are going to make me move. The more I move, the more positive endorphins it's going to create in my body. The more of those that I'm eliciting, the better I'm instantly going to start feeling about myself. The quicker I start to feel better about myself, the quicker I'm going to be able to start to shift my thoughts and feelings. Right? Great question. How did your radio chat go on Friday? Is there going to be a recording of it that you can post? Yeah, they record everything on their website, I believe. So if you just go to that same link that I posted before, you should be able to find it on there. That's what I think. They had told me that was the case. I have not been sent a link, but that's what they had told me. And it went well. It was a lot of fun. I've been on that show before, I think, in the fall last year. So it was fun. It was really fun. It's fun to start getting asked back to some of these shows too. I appreciate it, and I take it as that their listeners are finding value in it, and as show hosts, they find me to be a great guest to have because I'm offering content that their listeners find a value to. and I'm able to do it and deliver it in a way that is appropriate for radio and effective for radio. So I really appreciate them asking me back. It was really cool to be back on there, and it was a fun group. How did you battle your shyness around strangers? I had to work at it. I had to work at it, and part of that, it always came back to working on myself first. You know, it always came to working on myself first. And what I would start to do is, as I started to feel better about myself, I started to make little mini goals for myself. So it would be something like, before I'd used to try to sit in a place in class in the big lecture halls where nobody would sit near me. And then I would start to pay attention to where some of the cuter girls would sit. And it would make a goal just to try to sit in the same row as them. You get in that same row where I would be in their field of vision. I wouldn't have to say anything, but just get there. So, I'd give myself baby steps. And eventually I'd work that up to saying something to somebody. And I would just tell myself, okay, all you have to do is just say this one thing to somebody. All you have to do is just say hi. When you go to the gym, at the UCSB gym, when you go in, there'd always be somebody at the front. You have to swipe their card. Usually when I first started, and this is actually kind of cool, when I first started going to the gym, the first day I ever went in there, I was so intimidated by everybody. I went through one door, out the other, and walked out and didn't come back again for a couple months. And that's a true story. So, and then probably for the first year, I'd walk in with my head down and just wouldn't make eye contact with anybody because, again, I was really shy. Then when I started doing it, I said, okay, you know what you need to do is you need to just start saying hello to the person at the front. You go here every day, you just say hello. And so I did. I started saying hello. And then I'd say, okay, start saying hello to somebody else. And then after I did that, I'd start to make a conversation with somebody. What's really cool about this is the UCSB gym, at the end of the year, the staff would do they have a tradition where they do a staff party and then they do a staff song. One of my friends, their senior year, or no, it was the senior year I think I graduated. I can't remember exactly, but and the staff song is supposed to be about all the staff members. I had gotten to know everybody at the gym so well that I was kind of like an honorary staff member because I'd go there. And so I got included in the staff song. And I thought that was such a cool thing because I had gone from, over a period of time, being this guy that was just so shy, wouldn't talk to anybody, to getting included in the staff song. So it felt like I had arrived, So things like that. Give yourself little baby steps, little daily challenges you can do. Do you still ever struggle with shyness? I was always very shy growing up and still deal with it all times. Yeah, absolutely. There's still times when I will absolutely feel my shyness creep up. I'm very extroverted in some situations. In a situation like this, when I am working with audiences, when I'm working with groups, I'm very open and out there. In certain social dynamics, I'm very open and out there. But when I have my time, when it's just my time, I'm often very introverted and very, very withdrawn and just like to have the stillness and the quietness. And so when I'm in that mindset and I don't switch out of it and I get put into a social situation, I can be very shy. I've even had some friends who have known me very well and will say, you have a really shy side. And I think I've worked really well on it. I'm not that. And really, you think so? And they're, yeah, you do. But it's true, I do. There's times where I was in a seminar late last year, and I remember there's a couple times where I'd raise my hand, ask a question, my heart would start racing. What is everyone going to think if I ask this question? And this was like a really cool group too. And there was no reason for me to think that, but I still was thinking it. And if I said it in a way I didn't hear it sounding in my mind, I might have gotten a little red. And then they would make a point about talking about it. They would call us our color shifts and what we pick up with sensory acuity, it's funny, but then you get redder. So yeah, I definitely do, you guys. I'm not just Mr. Not Shy anymore. I'm definitely not, because I'm still, I'm human, and that's just a part of it. And so what I've learned to do is embrace that shy part of myself, and it's not a bad thing at all. It's just a part of who I am, and it's a part that I need to nurture. And I can turn on and off now when I need to and allow it to serve me how I want it to serve me. Okay, let me try to. I have fat, 80% of me being on this planet. When people ask me how I am, I say fat and fabulous. Do you want to retype the first part? Because I'm not quite sure what it just came out a little weird, and I want to make sure I read it properly. Do you guys have any other questions at all? So looks like we might have covered all the questions. And if that's the case, you guys, thank you again for spending your time with me today. I hope you guys found value in this. If you did find value in it, I will post the recording on Wednesday. Please, please, please share it with your friends and family. It just helps me to get my message, what I believe, what I feel I have to offer out to the world. You guys are going to be the best way for me to do that. The more you guys share, the more it allows other people to come into the 1,000 Challenge community, the more we can all make a positive difference in the lives of others. And you guys, if I can be of service in any way at all to you this year, please, please let me know. I have coaching services. I have personal training services. I have so many different programs now because I'm trying to make as many things possible and available to you all to help you all live the life that I believe you deserve to live. So whether it's the exercise accountability group, or it's a personal training program, or it's a Zero Limits Mastermind, or it's a 6 weeks to your greatest you, or it's the Flat Belly Challenge, or it's my Zero Limits one-day intensive, or just an ongoing coaching program with me, you guys, please, if you need help and I can help in any way, do not hesitate to reach out, because I sincerely believe it when I say that I believe all of you deserve to live an amazing, great, wonderful, fabulous life. And if I can contribute at all, it would be my honor to do so. You guys, thank you so much for being here, taking your time on a Sunday to spend it with me. And this is our first one in 2015. I look forward to helping you all make 2015 an absolutely amazing, fabulous, fantastic, epic year. You can add whatever adjectives you want. And we will do another one of these again sometime next month. I will post it, probably beginning of February, when that will be. I'll try to do it during a weekday evening just to switch up the times. And then one last thing too. Friday I put out the Ask Jesse thing is going to be a weekly thing. A lot of you put a lot of cool comments on there for Facebook with it. Thank you. I will have the first video for Ask Jesse posted tomorrow, which is Monday. I guess tomorrow is Monday if you're watching this live. And if you're watching this on Wednesday, the recording, or any future time, it was posted on Monday, January 12th. And that video will also be available on my YouTube channel as well. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for taking your time. You guys were awesome. And I look forward to doing this again sometime soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.